Well, hey folks, as you probably know by now, my latest book, The Stone Chiseler, is out. And I want to tell you a little bit about the inspiration for this book. So, as I've mentioned on the cover and in other writings, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl played a vital role in The Stone Chiseler. And for those of you who haven't read Man's Search for Meaning or know the story of Viktor Frankl, it's this. Viktor Frankl was the father of logotherapy, which was essentially a contrarian view to what Freud had put forth back at that time, which was this idea that humans' main drive for existence was seeking pleasure. Viktor Frankl contended that it was something different, something deeper. He contended that our real meaning in life was what mattered. It was finding purpose and meaning in the moments of life and finding one's purpose. Because he contended that if we could find a reason, if we could find a purpose, no matter how hard the struggle, no matter how bad the circumstance, that we were more likely to perform at an optimal level. And he tested this theory whenever he was taken away to the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. Here's one of the things that's really cool about Viktor Frankl that a lot of people don't know. Before he left, he was prepared to get captured. And in preparation, his wife, she had taken his thesis and his papers that had his study. It's the only thing he wanted to make sure he could hang on to. And his wife was supporting him, saying, this is your work. It's that important. So she actually sewed inside his jacket a hidden compartment where he could keep his papers and he could continue working on logotherapy once he was captured. But here's what happened. Whenever he got to the concentration camps, not only did they take his coat, which included his thesis, they took all of his clothes. But that's not all. Then they shaved his body, including his head. Frankl describes that essentially anything that you had from the outside world was taken. The Nazis made special effort to strip you down to nothingness. But it was during this time that Viktor Frankl developed the idea that would lead to one of the most famous quotes that he ever uttered, and it was this: "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Young Giovanni Christiani, he was going to test that theory. His father had taught him the exact same thing, that you could take everything from him, but you could not take his attitude. He still had the ability here to choose who he was and what he was to become. That's what the Stone Chiseler is about. It's about all of us. Because there are always going to be those times when we're in a set of circumstances that are unfair, unwarranted, seemingly impossible to overcome. But even in those moments, we have the choice to choose our attitude. Will we find meaning in that moment? It's not like life just happens to us, as Viktor Frankl would argue, but it's what we will do with what's happening in our life and what purpose and meaning we will find in that. He did, in fact, continue his work in logotherapy while he was at Auschwitz. Then when he was finally set free at the end of World War II, in which, by the way, he would never see his wife and unborn child again, he returned to his practice, the same office where he was taken, and he continued in his work. He found purpose throughout the most hellish of circumstances. And young Giovanni Christiani, he does the same thing at a young, tender age. He has to determine whether he is going to, after being thrown into the stone yards, this outdoor prison, where all the prisoners are tethered to a large boulder, even bigger than them, to do nothing for the rest of their life, but chisel away aimlessly at a stone. The authorities actually came up with this idea as a means to reinforce their nothingness and their complete lack of useful utility in life by having them just beat needlessly on these stones. But what Giovanni has to decide is he going to just be like all the other stone chiselers and just chisel away at some block of rock? in perpetuity with no purpose or no meaning? Or is he instead going to become a sculptor? Not just a sculptor of a large piece of stone, but the sculptor of the man that's inside him. Will he go from chiseler of rock to a sculptor of his own manhood? That's what you have to read The Stone Chiseler to find out. And I sure hope you will. So with that, I hope you get it. Amazon.com right now. Let me know what you think. Thanks.